So you can watch that video online, but John Hurst actually joins us live from our studio in Hull. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Jeremy.
What were you thinking of then posting that?
What do you mean, it's a celebration? I mean, it's not every day people beat this system and get the government to back down and make someone like David Cameron squirm, for all his tough talking and rhetoric, and I proved the point that it was a load of nonsense. So, there's nothing wrong with celebrating when finally you've beaten the government.
But if you've been convicted of killing someone, their relatives might not want to see you waving a spliff around and grinning in a silly way.
Haven't you heard we've got human rights? With freedom of expression. That video is doing very well on the internet. It's gone viral now. I'm quite chuffed with that.
Well, it's not necessarily a positive reflection on the content. If lots of people want to see it, they might be really offended.
I think that's fake outrage, isn't it? Let's be straight. There's nothing wrong with celebrating. I mean, how many people would like to pull down the government the way I've done? So I mean, no, I'm quite happy with that. I don't feel offended by it, and anyone genuine wouldn't feel offended by it at all. They'd take it in the spirit it's meant.
But don't people affected by your original crime, the killing of a landlady with an axe, don't they have a right just not to see you chortling away with champagne?
Right. No, they don't have that right. But do you get that? It's prisoners who have the human right to vote, and that's the issue we're talking about here. And what is disgusting about this is that the government, for 5 years, has done nothing, under Labour, and at the same time, the coalition, when they was in opposition, they did nothing. Neither, they didn't even challenge them. So basically, all they've done is ended up giving the taxpayer £135 million bill in damages now for prisoners being lost the human right to vote.
When you say in your video that murderers and paedophiles and rapists have a human right to vote, that is just an opinion, isn't it?
No, it isn't an opinion. I mean, murder, rapists and paedophiles comes from several headlines by the Daily Mail and the Daily Express and the Sun. And
exactly, is it that they may well not end up voting actually because they might decide that murderers and rapists don't get the right to vote?
No, you're forgetting that the losers do not dictate the terms in a war. I won that war, and I won it fair and square. I won the legal battle, I won the political battle, and it is not down to Parliament now to dictate who and who doesn't get human rights. Whilst we're signed up to the convention, every citizen in this country gets their human rights, including murderers, paedophiles, rapists, lock, stock and barrel.
But if there were going to be any circumstances where somebody had the right to vote taken away from them, you'd think that you might just include people who've murdered their landlady with an axe.
No, because the offender's conduct has got nothing to do with this. You keep confusing the issue. This has nothing to do with the offender committing their criminal act in the first instance. What we're talking about here is the criminal conduct of the state against the most vulnerable group in society, which are prisoners.
The prisoners are the most vulnerable. So the landlady's not the most vulnerable group in society. She's not with us anymore.
One person isn't a group. Don't be idiotic. No wonder they dumbed down panorama for you. Come on, use a bit of noggin. What you're talking about here is vulnerable people because they haven't got a voice in Parliament, whereas pensioners do actually have a voice in Parliament. They can lobby, they can get changes done. The only option prisoners have got is either litigation or riot.
You want to say in the making of laws, but you don't obey the laws.
Yes, you do. I abided by the law since 1989.
What, waving a spliff around?
Come on, waving a spliff around.
Well, what was it? What was it you were waving? I mean, it looked like you said it was a spliff, and then you said you got it from the local drug dealer, and then you said you started singing "I Shot the Sheriff."
Yeah, that's from a song. What it was is I fought the law and I won.
Yeah. So it wasn't a spliff.
Of course it was a spliff. There's nothing wrong with smoking a joint. It's in my own house. What I do in the privacy of my own house is my business.
It's illegal.
What's illegal? Smoking a spliff?
Yeah.
Come on, you're having a laugh.
Right, I'm just a fact, isn't it? I mean, I'm just saying, why would you want to vote to have a say in the making of laws when you don't obey the law?
Well, I'm quite happy if someone wants to decide to try to prosecute me for smoking a spliff. And how much would that cost in court costs and the rest of it? And then what they're going to do, give you a slap on the wrist. Get real. You know, alcohol is a worse danger than cannabis. You know, it's never been shown cannabis is actually a danger, let alone anything. And why it's illegal, God only knows. You shouldn't be.
And you're happy, are you, that, as you put it, rapists and paedophiles may end up voting in elections?
Yeah, I mean, the whole issue is not the offence that the people have committed. You seem to be forgetting that. Everyone who's in prison is someone's father, mother, brother, sister, son, daughter, what have you, and they're all human beings. So it's not their act that they've done that is under question here. It's how the authorities respond to them whilst they're in custody, and they shouldn't abuse their human rights. I mean, this is what Hitler did with Jews and what have you in the last war, putting them in gas chambers. First you dehumanise them, and then you remove their human rights. So it's about time this country actually got civilised. Like in Europe, we're 60 years behind civilised countries in Europe. We're very uncivilised in the UK.
Thank you very much indeed. John Hurst, who runs the Association of Prisoners and was one of the original people to take the case to the European Court of Human Rights. And the video is, I think it's all over the net. I can't really find it today, but there's a lot of people seen it. In fact, the place I saw it last night was on a blog called Guido Fawkes, and that is written by Paul Staines. Hi, Paul.
Hi, Jeremy.
What do you make of that?
Well, it makes you wonder if we really did the right thing abolishing hanging for murder, doesn't it?
Because you think he should probably still not be at liberty at the very least?
I mean, he is not right. He's relishing and gloating that paedophiles and murderers and rapists will get the right to vote. Now, on the practicalities of this, I don't have an objection to prisoners having human rights. I don't want to see them tortured or treated wrongfully. But this European Convention on Human Rights is about civil and political rights. Now, I think when you commit a crime, a serious crime, it is legitimate to take away your liberty, and one of those liberties is your right to vote. Not permanently. When you're released, you're restored to your full rights. That's reasonable. The UN Declaration of Human Rights in 1948 did not include a prisoner's right to vote.
What was your first thought when you saw this video?
I was furious. He was gloating. I mean, his newfound consideration for human rights didn't really extend to the woman he murdered, did it?
And but of course he could say that he's served his time and he's come out and he's reformed and all of that, and he's got every right to campaign for people who are in the situation that he was in 10 or 15 years ago.
I'm sure he does, but it still sticks in the throat. I mean, he's been a burden on society for most of his life. He doesn't work. We pay for legal aid for all these cases that he's put forward. We pay for his house, his benefits, and what does he spend it on? Champagne and dope.
Not everyone in prison has killed their landlady with an axe. So there are people, well, famously, there's the guy who tried to disappear in a canoe who got 6 years for what was a basic life insurance scam. Good reason to take his vote away?
I think we should have a consistent rule, and I don't think we can start differentiating between them all. It's not the biggest loss in your life not to be able to vote, and we have a practical problem. You know, Wandsworth Prison has the number of prisoners that exceeds the majority of the local MPs, Sadiq Khan. Is our local MPs and candidates going to start canvassing for votes from prisoners, promising, as politicians always do to voters, that they'll, get them whatever they need or will try and look after rights? I don't want to see prisons being a block vote where you have to cater to their requirements. This is not to say I don't want prisoners' human rights to be respected. I want them to be treated properly and with dignity. But having them have a block vote in constituencies would be ridiculously stupid.
Thank you very much. Paul Staines of the blog Guido Fawkes.
My whole life waiting for the right time to tell you how I feel.